Brilliant. Okay. So welcome to our self-care workshop tonight. And we're going to start, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping of just to mute yourselves if you're not speaking, just so we don't have any extra background noise if possible. And if you need anything, just you can raise your hand if you know how to do that virtually, or you can put a little comment in the chat. We'll try and keep an eye on the chat all the way through. And if you don't want to be in a breakout rooms, then you can just put a little NB after your name. And then we know when we do the breakout rooms that you don't want to be part of that. Okay, I think that's all the housekeeping for now. So we're just going to start with a little grounding. So if you're, just make sure that you're comfortable wherever you are. And if you feel happy to close your eyes for a moment, and we'll just land in this virtual space that we're creating together. If your feet are on the ground, feel your feet on the ground, or they might be on a sofa or on a chair. Just see if you can feel into your feet for a moment. They might be slightly tired feet. They might have done a lot of walking or a little standing today. Just take a moment to give them a little moment of thanks and gratitude for all that they do. Notice how they're feeling, and notice how they connect us all to Mother Earth beneath us. And just feel into how that support feels right now, if you can feel that support from the earth beneath us. And then take a couple of deeper breaths. See if you can just breathe out anything that's been happening before this call. Just let it go temporarily. There might be a yawn in there, might be a bit of a wiggle, some shoulders. Just seeing if you can let go of all of that busyness, all those other things we've got to do, and just allow yourselves to be present here with each other for this time together. And then, as well as noticing the support of the earth beneath us, just stretching our awareness out into the sky above, into whatever we imagine might be up there in that sky, the tree branches, the stars, the sun, the moon, depending where we are, what time of day it is. And just feeling that circle of what is above and what is below, feeling that circle all around us, supporting us. And then feeling this circle that we're creating tonight, with all these beautiful women from all different places. Just feeling the support of this community of Mother Nature, this temporary support. For some it might be more of a permanent thing. Just feeling into that feeling that there's always a circle of women at our backs. And beyond that, all of our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, all of those women who have come before us, all the women who we feel might need some support who can't be here tonight. Just taking a few breaths into all of that imagining. And then coming back to your own heart. And we'll go over these reminders again in a moment, but just come back to your heart and remember that this is a space to listen from the heart, to speak from the heart. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back into space. Welcome, welcome everybody. So Emma and I are representing the Mother Nature team tonight, and slowly Mother Nature is a project that is gradually expanding our circles of influence to support women in their personal transformations, mothers of all kinds, biological mothers, mothers of creative projects, stepmothers, grandmothers, aunties, all kinds of mothers and mothering. And Emma's going to say a little bit more, I think, about what we do.
Yes, hi everybody. So lovely to see lots of faces we've met before in our courses in person and online, and lovely to see loads of new faces and new names here. So welcome. Thank you for that lovely grounding. It's really like helping me feel rooted here in the moment. Thank you, Hattie. And lovely to hear young Stella, or old Stella, the dog, in the background, giving us her own, bringing the more than human world into our evening together, which is lovely. And yeah, Mother Nature Project, I've been part of it since 2020 when the cards that I've got here came out, and part of the project which was Mothers as Lateral Leaders back in 2023. And we've developed lots of resources, our online courses, free courses, paid courses. We've also got the cards. We've got our book, Mothers as Natural Leaders. If you haven't signed up to our newsletter, we'll be adding you after this and you'll get your own free copy of that. And that's all about how the mothering journey, be it children or projects and us as women, is a transformational journey and gives us amazing skills out in the world. So do check that out. I would also like to say that we have a podcast. If you haven't checked that as well, we've got 3 seasons, all about the different journey of mothering, from stepping into matrescence to nature connection, shadows, singing, and then there's a whole load of pocket podcasts from Luby McNamara, who's another important part of the team that I know lots of you will know, where she shares some like 20-minute, 15-minute podcast about the skill of napping. I had a nap this afternoon, and yeah, definitely powered me up in my own self-care. And yeah, so do check those out. There's lots of inspiration and ideas there to help you. So checking where we are. Yeah, I think that's great. I think the next thing is to share about a couple of the things we've got coming up before we start the rest of the workshop. Would you like to share about our
Thanks, Emma.
things that are coming up?
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you. So we've been working on bringing another in-person retreat. Lucky enough to be a co-guardian of a beautiful woodland here in Herefordshire, where we've run several Mother Nature retreats, and we've got another one coming up on the 28th of March. And that is a day set in the woodland. We've got a beautiful roundhouse there as well. So if the weather is cold and wet, we've got somewhere cozy to shelter. And we spend the day working with the cards, working with each other. And in my experience, it's usually a really profound, restful, nourishing day, where everyone drops into a place of trust and care for each other very quickly. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to hosting another one of those on the 28th of March, the Women's Woodland Reset. We're talking about that. We were talking about when to do it, and we thought, well, actually, before the school holidays is quite a good time, rather than kind of getting halfway through the holidays and realizing that we need a bit of self-care, trying to kind of top ourselves up before we start on that journey, which you know, it's easy to kind of think, oh yeah, we've got holidays coming up, and actually for a lot of mothers it's not really a holiday, it's a different kind of work, albeit enjoyable being with our children. There's still a certain amount of self-care that needs to go into being able to sustain that. So yeah, we'd love to see any of you who can make it to that. And then Emma's running the circles course. You want to talk a bit about that, Emma?
But before I do that, I was just going to carry and keep our in-person things
Oh
together.
yeah, sorry, the
It's
camp. Yeah.
we've got a new for this year, which we're trying out, is a Mother Nature summer camp. I've just been popping some links in the chat to our whole in-person events before we move to the online. So I know we've got an international audience here as well. But it's going to be the 26th of May to the 29th of May in Herefordshire at my home, Earthworm Housing Co-op. Can Google it and see some pictures. And it's going to be from Tuesday to Friday. And we want to take this vision we have for this village of mothers caring and supporting for each other, being held by a community, into vision and into practice. And it will be open to families, children are welcome, partners and supporters, grannies, aunties. But the mothers or the women who were there, who were mothering, whatever that may be, children or projects or their lives, are the central part that everyone around is to hold. So it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. I've yet to put the prices in, but I will be doing that the next couple of days. And yeah, it's just lovely to be able to offer a space where children are also able to be there, because a lot of the times we can't leave it, and sometimes we do things like our Mothers as Natural Leaders course where children can't come, but this one will be lovely, and there's loads of space and grass. There'll be singing, circles, shared meals, sharing crafts and activities, and just really bringing into action what we'd like to bring out into the world, and enabling all of us who are there to step up a little bit into our leadership, to either hold space with the washing up or leading a circle or being responsible for an activity. So really embodying that. So yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I'm getting that ready. So the last thing to share just now is, and I know some of you have come on to maybe ask some questions about this later, is the Live Leading Mother Nature Circles course. And we're going to be experiencing what it's like to be in a Mother Nature circle using the cards. And these are circles where people, women and mothers, come together and share about that journey of transformation, about what it's like to be you, being a mother, being a human being in this world we live in, and about all the challenges, the highs, the lows, the celebrations. And I'm leading a course that starts at the beginning of March where you can learn how to facilitate your own small circles at home. It's online. We have time zone calls in the morning and in the evenings, and it's a fantastic opportunity to learn new skills, meet really wonderful women. Like every time we finish at the end, there's just this wonderful group of people who come together. I know others of you have been on that and really enjoyed it, and it's just a great opportunity to really step into something new and try something new that is so needed to offer in your community, and really share that support from others. I was listening to the radio today, and it was saying like loneliness and isolation, especially for young mothers, is so high. Nearly all of them express that. And if we can help support mothers to be supported, to do that important job, I think that's such a great gift to do. So I'll pop the link in the chat. And yeah, do if you've got any questions, you can also email us to find out. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to starting that. So I've just put that in there. So I'm going to hand back over to Hattie again as we move on with our call today.
Thanks, Emma. Brilliant. Yeah, just to add in there, like the circles that I run in person are always so it feels like such a privilege to be able to support mothers wherever they're at in their journey. So I think, it's really inspiring that there's more and more of it happening. I've got a little person here appearing around the corner. I think he might stick his head in. Sorry about mothering. It is sort of bedtime in our house, and there seems to be a certain amount of chaos. I have two 6-year-olds who are currently running around the house with balloons. So I will mute myself when I finish speaking, because there's going to be a bit of background mayhem whilst they hopefully head up towards their beds. Yes, so we're going to have a moment to look at some of the cards in a moment. Some of you might have your own deck of cards. So if you have, I hope you've got them to hand, because it's nice to look at the actual cards. We will have some for you to see online. Emma's amazing technical skills. But it's good. Yeah. Go on.
To bring them. I'm just making breakout rooms at the
Yeah,
moment.
great. So yeah, so we're gonna have a look at some cards in a moment, and Emma's setting up the breakout rooms um, for you to have a bit of time, because there's so many of us. It's nice to be able to hear everyone, and it's much easier to do that in small groups than it is in a bigger circle. So we have a question for you to take with you into your breakout rooms, and we'll invite you to choose a card that can help you to answer that question. And like I said before, just remembering in your breakout rooms to listen from the heart, speak from the heart, speak to the essence of what it is you're trying to say. And sorry, I've got a lot of background noise going on tonight. I'm sure
Can I take over for a moment,
everybody's
Hattie?
very chatty. The dog, the children. Sorry, it's a
Can I
bit
take over for a
distracting.
moment? I think
Please
I'm
take
there.
over for that moment. Thank you, Emma.
Okay. This is real. This is what we do as in in the Mother Nature Project. We are both mothers, and yeah, that's the reality of mothering. I'll probably get a small person. Some of you might get a small person. So the theme of the workshop today was about self-care and how we can bring more self-care into our lives, and so you can experience a Mother Nature circle and how that could contribute towards your self-care. And so we wanted to send you out with a question, and then we'll look at the cards and you'll get to pick it. And what are the helps and limits of your self-care? So I'll just talk a little bit more about that. And I'll just put that in the chat. When we're thinking about bringing more self-care into our life, it's all very well saying, well, I want more self-care. And that's what social media and people at the gate going, oh, just have a day out in a spa or just go and do this. It's not practical for us to do this. So it's really thinking for us as mothers, like, well, what helps me to have time to go and do something about my self-care? And actually, what are the limits? What are the things that stop me? What are those barriers? So it might be that you've got school time, or it might be money, or it might be any number of things. It might be constantly being bothered by your children, so it's all those different and your dog and your families and all of those things. So just really, when we're doing the cards and in the breakout rooms, we're giving an opportunity for you to think about what helps you to plan good self-care and what limits you. And we'll have another chance to revisit those questions again about, well, what actually can I bring in, and to use our collective wisdom that we as human beings out in the world have gathered by being mothers. We're experts in many, many things, and sometimes we can't hear the words we need to hear, but other people have ideas. But for this part, we are giving you that invitation. So you might want to write that question down or copy it from the chat so you've got it to take with you. The final thing before I show you the cards and you can think about which ones you would like, there's just a few ground rules to share for being in circle. And when we gather as mothers in Mother Nature circles, we have 4 intentions and 1 agreement. And these are because we want to create a safe container. We want to be able to share how we're feeling and our what's coming up for us, and we need to make sure we create that space where people think, yeah, okay, I feel like I can share a little bit. So the intentions for when you're out in the breakout room is to speak from the heart. So say what's true to you. You don't need to worry about what it is. It's like what's real for you. It's to listen from the heart and deep listening. And that's about giving as much of our attention as we can, which isn't always easy, but really giving that. That doesn't mean looking into the screen and really doing that. It means just listening with your body, with your ears. If you're in the same room, you'd be listening more body language, speaking to the essence. So a lovely friend Jerry's here. She says to share the pearl, not the grit. So just the outside edge of the story, which means everybody gets a chance to share, because we all want to have a turn to share our voices and to be spontaneous. So you don't need to rehearse. Sometimes when you're in these things, you think, oh, I've got to sound cool. I've got to sound like the best person or really intelligent. You can just say banana, raspberry, biscuit, dog, leaves. And that's what's true for you. You don't have to say those good job those words came out like that. But it's, yeah, being able to say what's spontaneous, what's arising. You really don't need to be worrying. Somebody needs muting, I think. Um, yeah. So if could we all check we're muted? I think it might actually be you, Hattie.
Sorry.
Um, yeah, so just being spontaneous. The final one, which is really important, is we need to feel safe in the breakout rooms, and that agreement is confidentiality. And this means we're not bringing somebody's story out of that moment. When you're out in the breakout room and someone is sharing something, you're not bringing it back to this room. We don't want to hear other people's stories in here. And you're not carrying somebody's story out into the world and sharing it without their permission. So that means you're not going to say what they've said. That's basically what it is for confidentiality. It also means that sometimes you might hear something and think, oh, that sparked a thought in me. And you might want to share something with somebody. And that doesn't mean you can't, but you could say, if you needed to share with a friend later, go, oh, I went to a workshop, the Mother Nature self-care workshop. It was amazing. Please say that. And then also be able to say, oh, I heard a card from Hattie and she picked. You can't say that. You can't say, I heard a card from Hattie. You can say, there was a card, was Dare to Say No, and I felt I connected with that message on a message. You don't say, oh, Hattie shared about Dare to Say No, and she said she wanted to blah, 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 blah. So you're really not sharing anybody else's story. You're just sharing how that affected you and what's there in your view. Yeah, so that's the confidentiality. Anything to add, Hattie? Because you look like you're lacking humans now.
Yes, thank you. Go on for now.
On
Thank you, Emma, for taking over.
confidentiality.
Brilliant. No, that's all great, I think. I was just going to repeat the question, but you've put it there in the chat. So what are your helps and limits for your own self-care? Brilliant. I think that's everything. Great. So
We'll share the
like I
cards
say,
in a moment.
yeah, if you'd like to show the cards, and if anybody's got their own set, then you can pick your own, and you can always share with whoever's in your breakout room. You can just hold it up so that the other people can see what you've picked from your own deck if you're doing that. And
I think I've nearly managed the
if
breakout
not,
rooms.
then you ready to share the cards, Em?
Yes, I think I am now ready to put them up. Okay, wish me luck, everybody. This is all about never work with children, animals, and live cards on the internet. So
is high tech. Well done.
oh, wait a second, sorry.
Suspense.
The suspense. No, wrong button. I'm showing myself to be super competent here.
You're doing great, Em. You're doing great. There we go.
I'm gonna slideshow. These are the cards.
Brilliant.
And I
Well
can't show
done.
the text.
Super.
So if you want to have a look holding that question that's in the chat, Hattie, you might need to leave it because if I go look at the chat, I will share everything that's on my screen. So if you
Yeah,
want to
sure.
read the question out again.
Yeah. So the question is, what are your helps and limits for your own self-care? So if you'd just like to look at the cards and see if any of those speak to you, you might want to just jot a couple of words down or something to kind of help you when you're in your breakout rooms, just to speak to how one of the cards has spoken to you, or there might be, because you can see them all at once, it might be that they all say something to you, but just, yeah, perhaps just try and focus on one and see what resonates with you. Perhaps jot down a few words that you can then take into your breakout room and share with the others.
I'll read that. I'm going to change the next title, but while you're looking, I will just read the name. So the first one in the top left of the lady looking at the child is Receive the Gift of Patience. The one in the middle with the lady eating an apple is Ground Yourself. One with the lady holding her hand up is Dare to Say No. My absolute favourites is the lady in the doorway, which is It's Good to Do Nothing. The the one with the lady holding bread with the sun around her, come into alignment. And the final one of the lady surrounded by nature on the river is you are nature. I'll give you a moment longer and then I will move on. So if you remember which card, I've got the text on the next page. So top row and then the next one. I'm going to move on.
Great.
You should be able to read the full card message. Just give you a moment to read. We'll also paste these into the chat as well. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing now. Hopefully. And I will just bring that text over. I'm not sharing my screen anymore, am I?
No.
No, that's good.
So you're going to put the text in the chat?
Yeah, so I'm just putting the top row in the chat.
Great.
And
well done.
The next one, the bottom row.
Excellent. Thank you, Emma. That's brilliant.
They're still there. So people keep coming and going. I'm trying to keep you in rooms of 3. Hopefully that's mostly worked. We'll be putting you out for, how long are we putting them out for, Hattie? Just so I can make sure.
I think just 5 minutes. 5 minutes each, so 10 minutes. No, depends how many in a room. 3 in a room, 15 minutes. 5 minutes each, we said. You just said 3 in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 minutes to share each. So practicing, like Emma said, that deep listening. And sometimes 5 minutes feels really short. Sometimes it feels too long. So just go with that in your little group. And if you finish earlier, then you can have a bit of time to share how the experience was. And perhaps choose someone in your group to keep time.
Yeah, and to make sure, what would be wonderful is with you is that we model that. And I know there's probably lots of you who are actually already led circles anywhere, but just making sure that everybody has a chance to speak within those rooms. So just make sure you take it in turns to be the timekeeper. Just before we ping you out, does anybody have any questions? Oh, sorry, I can't pronounce your name, sorry. Dushka. Yeah. And all the people who've already dropped out, there will be a recording. Does anyone have any questions? Are you all happy to take your question out? So what are your helps and limits for your own self-care? So yeah. And if you drop out, we'll put you straight back into a room. So I'm going to open it up. The rooms are ready to go. And we'll see you back here. Any problems, you can come back into this room. So enjoy. Welcome back, everybody, from the breakout rooms. I hope you've enjoyed experiencing the Mother Nature cards. If you've experienced them before, which I know lots of you have, it's wonderful to have a chance to play with the cards together. We'd love to hear a few reflections of anything that came up for you in the chat. That's all right, Sarah. Where do you get the cards? You can buy the cards online. I will put a link for you to buy them in there, and I'll be sending out a whole like a post call meeting thing. What do you call it? Like an email. That's the word. And I will find them there. You'll be able to get the link there, but I'm just going to pick up the link. I should have them there, and I'll just pop that in the chat so you can buy the cards. I hope you enjoyed them. So yeah, we'd love to hear back from you about how it was to be in the breakout room. So either put some comments in the chat, remembering to keep that confidentiality we shared about at the beginning, or if anyone would like to unmic and share something in the moment, we'd love to hear a couple of voices. We've got time for a couple. So if you'd like to share anything that came up for you or being in the breakout room, yeah. And just remember, I am recording this, so don't share anything you wouldn't like to share with other people. Yeah, is there anyone who'd like to share something now?
I would. I just want to I notice so much when each circle I go to with any breakout room or anything what we're doing with women, how easy it is for us to just fall into that natural space of vulnerability and show up. You know what I mean? Like when we're together. I'm always so inspired by that because it just shows that we're all on the same page. We all know what we want for each other, and you know, so that's really lovely. I just wanted to share that. Even when when you don't know people or anything, we just naturally fall into that.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa Marie. Thanks for sharing that. It's really lovely. And I think also for me, what I always feel like I would like to remember more often is in those moments of tension or stress or difficulty in my daily life. If I can just, sometimes I manage to just remember all these other women with similar kind of struggles and definitely with a deep level of understanding. And that can really help us, I think, just every day to remember that we're all there all the time. Yeah, it doesn't take much to really drop in and understand. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's that moment sometimes we're so apart, isn't it? It's almost like we've been given some oxygen to kind of breathe into our body to be able to share and just say what's alive for us. We get so little opportunity to do that. It's, yeah, so important. Is there anything anyone else would like to share? Anything that came up, or put it in the chat if you want to share there.
I would. Hi, everyone.
Melina.
My name
Hi,
is
Melina.
Melina.
Welcome.
Hi. It was really nice in my group. Thank you for my two friends now, or people that are women that were with me. To think that of self-care as something inward, as an inward process. That was, we all kind of magically were reflecting on that in this moment of our lives. So that was really nice because when you think of self-care, it could automatically be like going to the doctor or doing exercise. No, but for the three of us, um, the topic of remembering who you are, trying to be authentic, and reconnecting with yourself through your body. So it was really insightful to reflect on self care as something of just that's accessible to you and to look inward, to look for self care. So that's the wisdom that came out from our group. So thank you.
Thanks, Melina. Yeah, great. Really important to remember that bit and also how we can, as you were speaking, what came to me as well was that internal voice, and how to really watch out for that, particularly premenstrually. Those of us who are still bleeding, there could be a very strong inner critic at that time, and so to really remember that as part of our self-care is how we speak to ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Hattie. Is there anybody else? And thank you much for sharing, Melina. Is there anybody else who would like to share something? We've got time for another reflection. It's lovely to hear different people's voices, and each time we hear a reflection, we learn something new. So is anyone else who would like to share something? That's fine. You're all complete. That's fine too. You don't, sometimes the silence of not sharing in our circles can sometimes be really powerful as well. We're always invited to fill space with words, which is what I'm doing now. But there's that moment of just being able to go, just being there in a comfortable silence is a really powerful thing where you're just kind of processing internally as well. That's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Hattie and I are going to share about a couple of things we've got coming up that might be of interest for you to add into your self-care. And also, I'm going to invite Melina, who is joining us all the way from Bolivia and is part of doing a Mother Nature project that we've been working on, to share a bit about that as well. Just a little snippet to share some exciting, very new news that we have to share. Like, this is super new, today new. So, yeah, I'll hand over to Hattie next.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, great. So, weaving on from what you've just been talking about and leading into the next, we'll have another chance to do some sharing before we finish. I'd like to just mention another project that I'm involved in, which is called the 13 Moons, which is a year-long journey for women. And we meet once a month online. And in fact, this year that we've just completing now, we're actually having an in-person meeting. So sometimes that's possible as well. And the journey really is about deep self-care and prevention from burnout, I suppose, amongst other things. And we use women artists from, a lot of them come from the 1900s. And that's really just because the woman who started this project, a woman called Paloma, had a real connection with a lot of women from that time. And she pulled out different stories of different artists. So it is about their artwork, but it's more about their stories. And some of the stories are very tragic, but they're all inspiring. And it's building on this idea that there's a circle of grandmothers behind us, a circle of women who have come before us, who have a strong message for us about how we can live as creative women in our time, and how hard it can be to try and do everything that we're trying to do. And so there's some reflections from them, but each month we ask ourselves some deep questions. And it's, this last year has been a really beautiful group. Emma's been part of it amongst others, and it's been a really lovely journey of finding really close friendships with other women in this slightly strange capacity of being online. And exploring ourselves. It's really a journey into ourselves with a witnessing aspect to it. If you choose to do that, you can just do the journey by yourself, but there's also space in these monthly circles to share. Yeah, I don't know, is there anything else you'd like to add about your experience of it, Emma?
Yeah, I think for me, I took part as a participant, and I'd not done that before. And actually following the cycles of the moon each month and having that time for me every Sunday for that 2 hour call and preparing for it really helped me focus on bringing that regular practice of time out for me, and on a different level, and also creativity. I don't always think of myself as an artistic creative person, and finding there's a whole other level that I can tap into, and bringing that artwork and reflections in, and yet really gaining some enthusiasm for that, and yeah, for my own journey and outside of that. So yeah, it's really worth doing if you're thinking of taking on something a little with a longer arc, but with a connection. And yeah, as Lisa Marie was saying before, it's so easy when you drop into circle and making connections with other women in that space. It's just a real gift to yourself and each other. So yeah, I highly recommend that one.
Thank you, Emma. Brilliant. So yeah, we'll be starting in April. The 12th of April, we'll start our next 13 moon journey, which is a year-long journey. So do get in touch before then if you're interested, or you have any more questions about it. And there's much more information about it on my website, which is Hearthlight, which will be included in all the follow-up stuff
Yeah,
you will
I'll
receive.
pop the link in the chat as well.
Thanks, Yeah, brilliant. Perfect.
So I think
Great.
This is a nice little segue to Melina, actually, to just share just a couple of minutes about a project we've just applied for some funding for. So I will pass over to you, Melina. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Great. Thank you, Emma. Hi, everyone. So I'm Melina. I'm currently in Bolivia. I'm a mom of two kids. I'm a sociologist. And my colleague and friend, Natasha Cross, and I did the mother training facilitation program as well, course. So we both hold now Mother Nature circles. And with Emma and Natasha, we've been working for probably more than a year on a project where we want to create a project for a product in the end, where it's a journal for women in any stage of motherhood, with the matrescence framework. So I recently got my certification to be a coach and facilitator on matrescence. So we're going to use this framework, identifying 7 areas of one's life, of women's life, that are deeply impacted when you transition into motherhood. And so that's the framework we'll be using in the journal. And Natasha, she is an artist, a muralist, and also specialized in art therapy. So it's a really nice combination of both of our work, as far as I'll use the framework, like the theoretical framework, but she's gonna balance it with creative prompts. So I'm really excited to continue my own exploration of the creativity burst that comes up with motherhood, and with Emma. But the interesting thing about this is that we want it to be as participatory as possible, the end product. So the journey to create that journal will be to have workshops with participants. So their work and their input will be part of the journal, of the end product of the journal. And so the mother who ends up having this journal in her hand, she'll be reading testimonials and artwork created by participants themselves who are going through the same thing as she does. So the idea is to have something that's accessible, directed to moms in their motherhood journey, because a lot of these materials are more focused on the baby's development or baby's journey. So this is focused on the mother's journey. And yeah, so we just submitted for funding at the Arts Council today. So as my mom is doing now, she put a little candle to wish as well, and hopefully that'll go through. And if it does, we'll be sending an invite to this beautiful community to be part of our workshops and eventually be part of the product with your insight and participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Melina. Yeah, it's really exciting, and the workshops will be online, so anybody from the UK can be part of it. And there's probably like some sneaky from abroad, but we've got like getting them to be there to create this in English. And I think what's really important, and has always been part of Mother Nature, is using the journey and the group consciousness, the group reflections, which is going to come into that's what this project brings in, is that creative journey. And like when we created the Mother Nature cards, like 150 women helped create the cards, messages on the back through workshops and activities. So we're bringing that level of creativity and input into it. So it should be something really juicy and exciting. So yeah, please cross all your fingers tightly for us that we can get some funding to produce this. And yeah, we'll be sharing about workshops that will be coming up hopefully in late September. Yeah, thank you. Jane, you have your hand up.
Yes. Lower my hand. Yes, yeah, that is very exciting, and congratulations on getting the funding. So I just want to share that I'm a matrescent coach myself as well. And it actually is one I actually have this idea about like making a journal for the mother, but it's just an idea. I didn't birth it out, but it's so exciting to hear what you're doing here. And I would definitely want to participant in the workshop as well. If there's anything I can do for it, I mean, that's absolutely exciting.
Yes, Jane, we will definitely let you know and keep you all posted to make sure we get as many people, because it'll be a wonderful process. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Great.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
great.
I need to link you up with this, actually, but I just received something about mothers of multiples because I've got twins. Someone who's doing a project about mothers of multiples as well, and kind of researching that. So it just feels very exciting that there's so much beginning to happen, so many conversations opening up, which is wonderful. Yeah, great.
And it's so needed. We don't need just one thing to support mothers and families. We need lots of different things, lots of different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the final quick thing I'm just going to post in the chat is that we do have our free book, Mothers as Natural Leaders, which is free to download. I've just put the link in the chat that we created with the last project, that has lots of exploration about our leadership of self, which is very pertinent to this workshop when we're talking about self-care, but also of family and community and out in the wider world, and about what we call regenerative feminine leadership. I'm one of the co-authors of the book, and it's really an exploration of just how we step into our leadership in the world and how we bring more care of ourselves in there. And it's got nature connection, there's things about designing through it, and yeah, so do download it if you haven't already and have a read. So Hattie, on with the next part of the workshop. I shall hand over to you to introduce this, and while I get the breakout rooms ready again.
Great. Okay, so yeah, we're going to send you off again into breakout rooms for a few moments to ask yourselves another question, which is going to be around the four seasons of the year, and how we can use those in our sort of plan of self-care. So the seasons obviously have different qualities. And again, if you're menstruating, then you can also use this on a monthly basis as well, seeing the moon cycle, whether you're menstruating or not. Actually, you can use it with the moon cycle if you're not menstruating, the actual moon out there. If you are menstruating, you can use it with your own menstrual cycle. It's the idea that the 4 seasons have these real different qualities, and by embracing that, we can actually support ourselves in a really healthy way. So we live in a world where often we're expected to be kind of out there, sociable, on top form all the time. That's a kind of expectation, I think, that a lot of us feel. And so bringing in the seasons really helps to notice that that's not sustainable. And again, in the 13 moons, this comes in because we always meet on the new moon, which is actually a real time for listening. And if we look at this in terms of the seasons, the new moon time is the winter time, which is time for listening. So we're, in the actual calendar of the year here in the UK, we're coming to the end of winter now. And winter is about resting, about taking more self-care. It's also about visioning and listening to what else is going on that we might miss when we're out there being really super busy and sociable. And within the 8 shields, which is a kind of bigger backdrop to this, which some of you may have heard of, it's also about elderhood. So about that kind of quieter time of life, the wisdom that comes in there. So if we imagine that we're coming out of winter now towards the spring being time of new beginnings, new ideas, and just kind of feeling into that gently. Those of us maybe some of you have been celebrating Imbolc, which again is just the first whisperings of spring, but we're not quite ready to move into spring yet and all that brings. So we're still taking a lot of time, hopefully, to find that self-care and that keeping slow. And then as we move round the wheel of the year and we move into summer, there's an expansion and there's also focus to get a lot done. Especially I find in the UK, it feels like there's so much to be done in the summer. There's so many things that can only be done in the summer. So that requires a certain amount of focus, as well as the sort of expansion out into our social circles and into perhaps spending more time outside of the home with other people. And then we come round into the west. Sorry, I haven't mentioned the actual points of the compass come into this as well. So I'll come back to those. But yeah, we talk about west as the autumn time, which is about harvest and celebration. Really, again, something else that we can miss really easily in our world is like actually pausing to celebrate what we've achieved and what we've done. So that's in the west, and then we come back round to the north, which is the winter, the east being the spring, the south being the summer. So the question is for you to explore now is, how can you use the seasons in your self-care? And I'd like to say that could be on a monthly basis as well as on a yearly basis. So it might feel like a lot to look at the whole year right now, but it is also quite good to kind of just zoom out and have a quick kind of check-in with, how would I like that to be? How would I like that to play out in my life? And it's a gradual process, but I feel like slowly I'm learning not to kind of launch lots of big projects in the middle of winter time, to try and pace myself in terms of the seasons of the year. And again, as I say, monthly, really trying to do that, really trying to allow that winter time in on a monthly basis when I'm bleeding and I need that time, that downtime, that quiet time, that listening time that can influence all of the other seasons. Yeah, so that's what we'd like you to explore and think about going into your breakout rooms. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Emma?
I was just going to say, to give you a couple of minutes, I'm going to give you 5 minutes just to have a reflect. I think we'd written that in there. So just to, before you go in, so you can have a think about what that might be. So I just put the question in: how are you going to use the 4 season to support your self-care plan? Megan, that's all right. Yeah, you'll definitely get the recording. And lovely to meet you here. Yeah, so just before we go in, just to give you 5 minutes quickly, or maybe 3 minutes. Let's go for 3 minutes. Just to journal, think, draw what that brings up for you, and particularly thinking about the ideas and patterns. So ideas, what might support you, and patterns that we're talking about, those cycles that Hattie was sharing about that go around the whole year, but that can also go around in the whole day, between when you get up in the morning all the way through to the evening at different points. Yeah, those directions. So just having just 3 minutes to think. I'll pop the music on again in the background, and then we'll put you into the breakout rooms again. That good, Hattie? Okay, I'm just putting the what am I doing? I pressed the wrong button.
I'm trying to find the chat and I can't. And I arrived a bit late, so apologies for that.
That's all right. Hi, Natasha.
Hello, hi, how are you doing, Emma?
Good, thanks. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Yeah.
Did you have a question?
I just can't find the chat, but I don't know if you're going to be able to solve that one for me. I keep trying to shift onto it. It's me and not it's tech and me not getting on with each other.
Are
I
you
think
on a mobile phone?
I am on a mobile phone, and
Just
what
keep
keeps happening is it
swiping
keeps.
left or
That's
right.
what I was doing, and it kept putting me on speaker and then not speaker, and it keeps disappearing. I've got a Fairphone, so it doesn't do what it does on other phones.
Oh, well, don't worry.
Yeah.
There's not. We'll have an opportunity to share it. We'll have
I
a
just wanted to know. I wasn't sure what the question was, and I also didn't understand. There's a new project that you've got funding for, but I didn't know what that was, so that's what I was looking for.
Okay, so we haven't yet got the funding. We've put in the application, so we need get funding vibes to come from you all. So hopefully, and that's
Okay.
book, and we'll send out the recording for that. So the question we're asking
So
you,
I'll hear that. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. So what we're asking you to think about is how are you going to use the 4 seasons to support your self-care plan for the year ahead, or your self-care, and that we're going to give you 3 minutes to just have a little think about that before we put you in breakout rooms, when you can go and share what you're doing and if there's any other ideas that come up. Does that help?
That is absolutely perfect. So how are you going to use the 4 seasons to support your self-care plan for the year ahead? Is that right?
Yes. And just we're going to start the 3 minutes in a moment, and then just have a think, or you could write, you could draw, you could dance and move about, how that feels in your body. There's all sorts of different ways to feel that. We all reflect and learn things differently.
Lovely.
Okay. And lovely to have you here. So I'm going to
Thank you.
pause the recording, set my timer for 3. Hattie, maybe you can do the timing and I will do the thing. I'll pause the recording now. So if you're watching the recording, now your 3 minutes starts.
How do we fade out the music?
I'm not quite sure how to do that. Managing sound feels like a super exciting achievement.
It's great. It's great.
Fade out will be the next learning process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well done. Great. Okay, so that's your 3 minutes to just gather some reflections, and now you've got some time in the breakout rooms. So again, 5 minutes each for sharing and listening. And we'll see you back here in about 15.
Yeah, and just to remind you, if one of you wants to be the timekeeper, so everyone gets a chance to speak, and anything that's shared in there, well, obviously we're going to ask for a few reflections when you come back, but remember the confidentiality of not bringing other people's stories here. So hopefully everyone's clear, everyone good to go, and I'll pop you out to go and share about your ideas and your reflections on your patterns and your ideas and what's come up with you with that question. So enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a lovely time out in your breakout rooms. We can see you all out there. I can't quite see you chatting, but I like to feel like there'd be, like, if we're in a room, there'd be a lovely buzz of sound of all the voices of everyone sharing. We would love to hear what came up for you in your rooms. If anyone would like to share about what came up with you for your ideas for your self-care for the year ahead, using the seasons and what those patterns or ideas might be. So yeah, if anyone would like to, Mike, or if you want to write it in the chat, we can read out your reflection. But yeah, it'd be good to hear. Would anyone like to share?
I'll say something.
Lovely, Rebecca. Nice to hear your voice.
Thanks so much. So I was in a really lovely group, and we came about kind of drawing comparisons between the gardening year and self-care. And the sort of the way the seasons change, and gardening, and the kind of pressures you might feel in spring, and how that sort of develops, and looking at alternative ways that we could use the seasons as a self-care method as well. And then others of us are crafters, and are kind of linking into the intuitive feeling of that, sort of something that's in our DNA, and the sort of the mindfulness. So there was a lot of that going on, that things that I think that we do intuitively, or whatever else, and that we could then maybe kind of connect to in a slightly different way. And it was lovely. So thank you so much, my group and everyone. The
Thank
end.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's good to check, just to check there's not a time delay coming in. Thank you. And I think that's such a wonderful reflection about thinking of that gardening calendar, because nature is out there. Nature's got its seasonal cycles of growing up and shooting out, like the snowdrops popping up now, and how to use that as a good metaphor. I love a metaphor, and bringing that in. So it's lovely to hear. Would anybody else like to share something? It's great to hear your voices and your inspirations that other people here or watching will get from what you share. Bethan, you look like you're about to press your screen.
I was. It takes me a while to find it, sorry. Me and technology are not the best of friends. Yeah, just popped up to me then. Thank you so much. I was in a really lovely circle as well, which was so beautiful. And it's just about cycles really, and we sort of touched on it a little bit, about sort of what came up to me was like not comparing your cycle to any other woman's cycle, talking about the gardener's cycle and lunar cycles, and just somebody might have a completely different cycle that they like to go by. And I think that's really important, that for me it is anyway, to know that we have a lot of external information about cycles, and for me sometimes it's just about listening to my own body and thinking, and maybe tracking how I feel throughout the year and creating my own cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Bethan. Yeah, and how sometimes, any of these things, if we kind of put too much pressure on them, can become things that we should do or should feel, or, I should feel this particular way at this point in the cycle, or, even we can create that for ourselves as well, of like, oh, I felt like this last time, so I should feel like this. So yeah, absolutely, really listening in to what's going on for us individually. Thank you, Bethan.
Yeah, and I think that really comes like even in a cycle for a day, like when we're at our most energized or our most reflective, or when we need to rest and stop, and listening to that body and that cycle and not pushing through it. I think that's sometimes where our self-care limits itself, is that we push through the natural of, oh, I need a nap. Actually, I need 20 minutes out before I go. I can't just be in energy all of the time. So yeah, that's really great reflection. Does anyone else like to share something who's been in the call this evening, who's not spoken yet, or who has spoken previously? Feel free to unmute or wave.
Sorry, I just drop in a little thing there that was quite a funny little technological moment when you started talking about cycles, and I was thinking about the darkness, and then suddenly my light went off. It's run out of battery. I was like, so sorry, I was plunged into darkness, which I can't quite correct right now. But anyway, I'm still here, slightly in shadow.
I love it. Live energy cycles as we speak.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, Fern. Lovely to hear you, and lovely to see you this evening. Fern just completed a circles course. So yeah, unmute and share, Fern. We'd love to hear from you.
I just wanted to say how in both my circles, actually, the practice of craft practice came up as something that was very grounding and very a way of bringing yourself back to you, which so I've got a timer going off here. I think I'll have to go get a child to get the dinner out of the oven. Sorry. Yeah, so as a way of a rhythm, that brings you back into your own kind of rhythm, you know, the stopping and putting stitches through fabric, or the rhythm of spinning, or something that kind of takes your mind to focus on something, but also lets you wander. So you brings you back to something that kind of makes you breathe and makes you usually something creative, an outlet. Right? It came up in both of my circles, so that was very interesting. That's all.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, I think I think craft and using our hands, and that kind of just helps our brain calm down. Sometimes when you just have to sit bolt still and like, I'm relaxing, it can be almost too much for your body. It needs to kind of ground and have that rhythm. And I love the thing that some traditional craft practices also have songs that go with them. So I watched a lovely video of people making felt. I think it was felt or tweed in Scotland, and they were singing and moving it in this big circle backwards and forwards, and that like kind of group crafting is yeah, yeah, I think it's a really lovely thing to do. Yeah, I love that idea. Is anybody else who would like to share? We've got time for another person.
I would like to share.
Lovely. Thanks, Jane. Nice to see you again.
Yeah. I'm really tired today, so I kind of I didn't put my video on all the time, but I kind of want to allow myself to be able to rest when I need to. So I'm actually in my bed doing the workshop today, which is really nice. Thank you. And thank you, Hattie, for giving out this question, which I find it really a lovely way to reflect on. So um I've always I think I always know about some of it, but not really connect them together. So what come up for me is in a season. So that's like a early stage, middle stage, and late stage. But I never really related to my own self, like motherhood. So if I'm in a motherhood season, and if that's like, it would be different if you're in a very early status, middle, late, or am I moving to the mega, like moving to the next stage? So you will have different energy and different, I don't know, like I have really have an answer, but I think it's a good pause for me to actually link them together and to imagine how I want to bring this forward. Yeah, I kind of know this, but I never actually link it everything together. And this is the perfect opportunity for me to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, because there is also another. So with the I mentioned the 8 shields. When we look at this cycle with 8 points of the compass, and we're just looking at 4 tonight, but they are all related to stages of life as well. And so it's interesting that you bring that in as well, and to think about that in terms of motherhood. I really like that idea, and I like that idea of kind of bringing that into our circles as well. Like, what stage of motherhood are we at in terms of the seasons as well? Because I think that could also be a really helpful thing to explore. Yeah, thank you. Inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. We've got one time for another person. Anyone else like to share? Lisa Marie, you just came forward. Was that you just moving, or were you coming to share something?
I talk too much. I'm just not going to say anything now.
That's fine. You always have good things to share. Melina, did you just put your hand up? Nope. I'm catching things out the corner because I'm recording. I can't see. That's fine. No one else has to share if they don't want to. I think it's a yeah. One thing I was going to bring up next, if you do have any more reflections, do put them in the chat because it's lovely to hear that richness. Is we were talking about how we plan our self-care and creating that more deeper reflections. And one of the ways you can do that is using a thing called the design web, that developed by Luby McNamara, who's part of the Mother Nature team and who is also a social permaculturist and creator of Culture Emergence. that I work with. And the design web is a tool to help you create personal intuitive designs that are about you in the middle of the design. And there's a course that we're running at the moment that's online called Design Your Year Ahead. Lisa Maria and I are both weaving our way through that at the moment. I'm not sure if anyone else here is. And it's a really great opportunity to actually work through some pre-recorded lessons and chat and activities to actually think about taking this self-care plan that we're thinking about now and developing it into something you can use all year to support you. So kind of knowing what energy and feeling you want to bring in, knowing how you want to care for yourself more, and to bring that in, because I find it really easy to go, I'm going to do this, and then I just wander off and leave it, and I haven't dealt with the patterns that stop me from doing that thing I want to do, or I haven't got the help I need, or haven't got the right vision for it. I'm just like, self-care, well, what does that mean? So hearing Jane Lee reflecting about those different stages using the 8 shields, that's a great way of framing your whole year, like following that through. So yeah, if you're interested to learn more about creating designs for yourself, there's a design framework for leadership in the book I shared earlier, in the Mothers as Natural Leaders book, and there's also the course that's coming up soon. Let me pop the chat in, but it's running at the moment, and that's doing that. And we also have a thing called the Cultural Emergence Collective that has design cafes. So we have a couple each month where you can come and learn designing with other people. We have lots of people who've done Mother Nature circles in that group and are learning about cultural emergence and using the design web to create these designs. So do go check that out. And the design web is just a fantastic tool for really activating change and difference and bringing things in. Yeah. Giving my plug for the Design Your Year Ahead course. There's also a Design Your Week Ahead and Design Your Day. There's also a really good decluttering, like how to get your house tidied up. But it's not called that, but yeah, if you follow that link, you'll find out more. Lovely. I think that was all the things we wanted to share. You've got some, yeah, Hattie, I'm going to pass to you for a moment.
Great. Well, it's nearly time to wrap up for the evening. So thank you all.
Sorry, could I just, I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know how to do anything apart from this screen. I cannot move off it at the moment for some reason. So I just wanted to check, would it be possible to send any links that have gone into the chat to us? Because I can't get into the chat. So I'd be really grateful.
Yeah, I'm going to send a follow-up email to everybody who's come with all the links to all the various things we've told you about and places to get cards, or the various courses like 13 Moons and the online circles course, and our retreat coming, our Woodland Women's Reset in March, and the summer camp, and this Design Your Year Ahead. So I'll make sure we send all of those out.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And do definitely think about the Design Your Year Ahead course, because it's really activating on lots of levels.
That sounds really good, actually. Thank you.
That's all right. Has anybody else got any questions just before we wrap up? Actually, maybe that's a good moment just to.
I was just going to say, then you can look at all of it kind of at your leisure while we're talking about self-care. I feel like that's a really important bit of self-care. It's just to take your time to look over what all the options are. Otherwise, it's easy to get a bit overwhelmed with the amount of things that there are on offer, amount of wonderful things. But yeah, just to really take your time. So Emma will send it all out, and you can just take your time to look through. And yeah, and obviously if there's questions that you think of later that you want to ask either of us, just pop them in an email. Yeah, and thank you all for showing up and for sharing tonight. And sign up to the newsletter, though everyone's already signed up to the newsletter, haven't they, by just appearing here tonight?
Yes, anyone who isn't already on it, I'm going to add you in to the newsletter. If you already are, I'm
So
already sending you the newsletter.
Already signed up.
Great. Yeah.
Great. Anything else, Em?
No, I was just going to say it's so lovely to see lots of you who I've met before online and to meet new people being here, and hope that there's ways you'd like to carry on joining in and being part of our Mother Nature community on all different levels. And yeah, do go check out our website and podcast. And also thank you, Melina, for sharing about our new podcast project, not product, the new project. And everyone keep their fingers tightly crossed we can get the funding and birth another new creative project out into the world, which is exciting to keep bringing more tools to support people. So yeah, do keep an eye out later in the year. Hopefully we can announce
Definitely.
funding.
And if you haven't already got the Mother Nature cards, then do get yourself a set of those, because even if you're not holding circles, they're just really lovely things to have and to just pull out every so often as a really lovely bit of self-care, because they're such beautiful images, and obviously the words as well are really nourishing. But they're really lovely things to have around and to show your friends, and just, you know, a recognition every day of what we do in our homes and out in the world.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you,
more
Hattie.
of it, more celebration of ourselves.
And just to say, if you're watching this recording, I will make sure that I have shared all of the links as well down below. So just go check the description for the YouTube video where this will be. Lovely. Shall I share this poem then to wrap up?
Yeah, great. Go for it.
Together.
Please
So
do.
this is by Luby McNamara, who's part of the Mother Nature team that I mentioned before, from her book of poetry to reconnect, Strands of Infinity, and it's called Empowerment. Empowered people, ready to hold ourselves and each other in the dance to freedom, to sing into our hearts and discover the vibration of the universe and the strength of a lioness protecting her cubs. It is through the fire we walk to our true selves, to have the courage to look in the mirror and see behind the masks, and gaze in wonder at grace dropping into being. Through holding each other, we are held. With our unity, we light the world with love. With our love, we understand. With our understanding, we take responsibility. With our responsibility, we are brave. Brave to dream of the world we want. Brave to speak our dreams. With our bravery comes action. The bold and the everyday actions that change our world and bring hope to our souls. Hope we can breathe in deeply. Hope to wake from our slumbers, to fill every corner of our awareness with the knowing all is possible.